Stories of the past years are usually anecdotal evidence of success. Stories of failure rarely find their way into the books of transition.
I think Kenyans are very happy today. At least for a while. Let them also be happy and finish them.
What do you think about Togo?
Togo was a good team. What do you think? It was a good team?
Game is good.
After all, no one wants to talk about failure, and that is the biggest failure of not documenting history. We somehow lost an entire generation of our great stories, and those who can afford to tell them distort them to colossal proportions. This generation will never know the entire truth. Sorry, this is not a story about the distortion of history. This is a story of grasping what we can lay our hands on. Let's take a walk back in history, not so long back. This is a familiar one for this generation. Let us do this early enough. When the story of Kenyan football clubs is finally put to tape, one club's narrative will feature prominently and graciously. It will not be the story of the club's success or failure. It will be the story of Tera. But when that story is told, it will be told alongside the story of one Tera, Titi. Tera was born in 1966. His dad, John Tera, was a truck driver at Kenya breweries, while his mother, Dina Omina, was a primary school teacher at Babadogo Primary School in Nairobi. Their family had a total of 9 children, composed of 6 brothers and 3 sisters. He attended Babadogo Primary School until Standard 2, but the family had to relocate to Kisumu after they lost their beloved dad. For Standards 3 to 6, he studied at Kisumu Union Primary before he relocated to Maseno in Standard 7. He joined Form 1 at Kakamega High School in 1982. The late Mr. Kwendo assisted the late football technocrat Chris Makoha in scouting Tera for Kakamega High School. The principal of the school was none other than John Kinaro Livingston, a former boxing champion at the University of Dar es Salaam. You can imagine how he dealt with those who broke school rules. Mr. Kinaro ensured that there was overwhelming support for the Green Commandos, the famous name of the school football team. The young Tera landed in Kakamega, the heart of Western Province and the heartbeat of football, a town alive with football. When he arrived at Kakamega High School, he met a galaxy of super talents such as Don Musuku, the late Ainea Isabwa, Michael Amwai, Peter Zimbo Owade, George Nyangi Odembo, Artillery, Eliud Omukuya, Okot Gwada, Dennis Munyendo, and the deadly winger who died in India, Henry Waigara. The list is endless. This was the perfect example of a football team. The team had everything a team needs. Most of these football stars would later play a pivotal role in helping the AFC Leopards win the league and Sakafa championships back-to-back. Others joined other teams and made lasting impact. Most of these players donned the national team colors. Despite being recruited as a striker, the coach opted to switch Tera to the position of fullback. The reason for this was that the striking force was brimming with talent, but only the invincible made the starting lineup. These strikers at the Green Commandos were superb and knew how to finish. They were simply deadly and knew what the goal was. The defense had a scarcity, and hence the reason Tera had to train as a defender. He took everything positively because he was under a football master who converted average players into mighty names. The school waived half his fees, while the other half was paid by Kisumu Black Stars, the club Tera played for while in school. Musingu High School is an eternal football rival to the Kakamega High School. The derby between these two giants was the stiffest of tests. Both teams displayed sensational football, winning the hearts and minds of fans. This match was everything you would expect in a football match. Tom Tera vividly remembers the epic duels against Musingu, their arch rivals, who hailed from the neighborhood. When you talk about the Green Commandos in those yesteryears, you talk about Musingu. And when you talk about Musingu in the yesteryears, you talk about the Green Commandos. On the national scene, you cannot tell the history of AFC Leopards without mentioning Gor Mahia FC and vice versa. While the Green Commandos had their share of football greats, Musingu also had stellar names like Alfayo Odongo, deceased, Johnston Kefa Tasso, Michael Wambani, computer, later joined the Green Commandos, Patrick Mutai, Julius Were, Festus Serenge, Enoch Momanyi, Jacob Lijodi, and Arthur Onyango, Coimbra, given that name in Italy while playing for the Kenya under-20 team. Most of the Musingu players joined Mumias Sugar FC, while most of the Green Commandos players joined Motcom, AFC Leopards, and Rivertex FC. It took Tera's determination and dedication to ensure that he broke into the team. Tera remembers the bitter loss to Musingu in the 1984 finals at Shanzu Teachers College. The Green Commandos had led 1-0 throughout the match, but with 5 minutes to go, Michael Wambani, computer, did the unexpected. Like a programmed computer, he scored 2 quick goals within 5 minutes. Football is sometimes like a movie. Stephen Itole, who later joined Mumias Sugar, scored the Green Commandos' lone goal. While Tera was at Kakamega High School, the undisputed Football Kings won the Kenya Secondary School Sports Association KSSA football title in 1982 and 1983. The Green Commandos had previously won the title in 1979, 1980, and 1981. Winning any title 5 times in a row is an exemplary performance. No high school in Kenya will ever break this record. After playing for the Green Commandos with love, pride, and great honor, Tera completed his O-levels in 1985 to face the outside world. Tom Tera, Titi, was a refined and polished football product after high school. It is for this obvious reason that several top-tier teams came knocking on the door to get his signature. Although the military side Lanet Scarlet had already signed him, Tera had other options such as Kisumu Posta, Butter Bullets from Limuru, and Rivertex from Eldoret. Immediately after he completed his last O-level examination, a van belonging to Rivertex was waiting for him at the school administration block. He opted to sign for Rivertex and revoked the idea of signing for Scarlet. Rivertex offered him direct employment before he even got a national ID. The company had to source an ID for him. Tera had speed and was seconds quicker than his markers. He was at the peak of both his technical and physical power, and this made him supremely confident. At Rivertex, the coach was the late Robert Kiberu from Uganda. The big boys already at Rivertex were Dalton Bwire, Ugandan, Bernard Majale, Tanzania, Alfred Babu, George Irungu, and Gilbert Oguna. By then, Rivertex had many foreign-based players, and the company was very stable financially. The new kids on the block in Rivertex's list of signings in 1985 were Tom Tera, Alfayo Odongo, Patrick Nachok, Patrick Mutai, Harun Wangila, Ndunduma, Sami Shole, Tai, Stanley Ouma, Rogers Amukasa, Reverence Nangalama, Nafas Kevogo, Festus Serenge, and Charles Bwire Namudeche. This was by all means a big catch in terms of talent. These football diamonds in Rivertex were destined for success, and making history by breaking boundaries was inevitable. Abdul Majid succeeded the late Kiberu to become the coach of the star-studded team from the Rift Valley. In 1986, Rivertex showed their intentions of making history by reaching the Moi Golden Cup semi-finals only to be eliminated by Bandari FC. In 1990 was their golden moment when they were the first team outside Nairobi to win the coveted Moi Golden Cup. They did this after beating the Bata Bullets from Limuru 2-1 in the grand finale. Their star player, the late Alfayo Odongo, was voted MVP in the country that year. They didn't win the Moi Golden Cup by sheer luck. In the quarterfinals, they eliminated the mighty Gor Mahia, while in the semi-finals, they sunk another giant, Kenya Breweries. In 1990, Rivertex were at the peak of their powers and no one could stop them, not even Mike Tyson. Best of 11 at Rivertex: Charles Bwire Namudeche, Festus Serenge, Ruben Adaro, Rogers Amukasa, Patrick Mutai, Sami Shole, Tai, Harun Wangila, Ndunduma, Alfred Babu, Tom Tera, Patrick Nachok, Alfayo Odongo, and coach Abdul Majid. After winning the Moi Golden Cup with Rivertex, Tom Tera joined Pan Paper FC of Webuye following a disagreement with the management of the former. He moved to Pan Paper alongside Harun Wangila, Ndunduma. In the league match between Pan Paper, their new employer, and Rivertex, their former employer, both Tera and Wangila justified their super roles by scoring a goal each against Rivertex and securing a 2-0 win. Tera played for one season for Pan Paper. In the league matches between Pan Paper and Bata Bullets, he scored against Bata home and away. Bata Bullets signed him so that he would not score against them again in the next season. The year was 1992. While at Bata Bullets, he was given a call-up to the national team, but got injured before going to the camp. The best 11 at AFC Leopards: Muhanji Washington, Mikey Weche, Makuku, T9, Francis Oduor, Reginald Asibwa, Musa Otieno, Otero, Idi Abubakar, Tony Sejero, Washington Kamadi, William Inganga, Tony Luanga, and Tom Tera. After leaving Leopards, he briefly joined Utali FC under Rishadi Shedu and played together with James Nandwa, Bernard Baya, Elkana Swaka, Gerald Origi, Jeff Oyando and James Onchera, and Ronald Otieno, Raldo, among others. He also played briefly for Chemelil Sugar before finishing his career at Masaka FC and Mbarara FC in Uganda. He retired from top-flight football in 2002. His toughest markers were Isaiah Omundi Janabi, Tobias Ochola Juakali, Mikey Weche Makuku T9, Sami Omolo Pamzo, and John Bobby Ogola $6 Million Man, who was on his way to retirement. His best midfielders were Wilberforce Mulamba Maradona of AFC Leopards, George Onyango Fundi of Gor Mahia FC. He described Mulamba as skillful, very intelligent, powerful, a team player, a motivator, and he had a powerful shot. He says Mulamba was a joy to watch. Onyango, Tera described George as having great penetration passes, skillful in dribbling, and did not like contact as he was not an aggressive player. Mulamba comes out to be the superior of the two. After mentioning these two midfield maestros, he notes that George Onyango Fundi and Dennis Munyendo had the best through passes. Passages per excellence were weighted. Dennis Munyendo, a qualified teacher by profession and a principal, was also a principal in the midfield. Munyendo, a true gentleman of the game, went on to inspire fledgling talent in high schools to pursue soccer and academics. During the playing days of Tera, his best goalkeepers were Charles Bwire Namudeche and Charles Omondi Correa. They commanded their goal areas and were very aggressive. As a striker, Tera says 1v1 situations and crosses were left for them. They were also good at saving penalties. Tom Tera's role model striker was Michael Kov. He describes him as a motivator, powerful in the air and good at providing assists, apart from scoring goals. He was a professional footballer in Belgium. His best coach is Chris Makoha, rest in peace. According to him, Makoha was very experienced and molded him into a utility player. He says Makoha tapped into his raw talent and nurtured him into the great player he became. His second best coach was the late Ruben Malola of Malawi. This coach instilled confidence in the players. Malola was a great motivator, especially when the players felt down. After glittering careers, it is never easy for many footballers and other sportsmen to cope with life outside the limelight and the attention they enjoyed during their illuminating careers. It's usually a tall order to settle if one did not make hay while the sun shone. After his retirement, Tom Tera started coaching community teams voluntarily to give back to the community. After that, he coached the Maseno University football team from 2004 to 2014. Some of his football products are abroad and support him. Some are playing in the KPL. He is, by all means, a happy dad after his retirement as a player.